In this video we'll be looking to recreate this view using V-Ray and Revit. We're also going to be looking at substituting the Revit materials with V-Ray materials. So open up your view and then switch on the shadows. As you can see, the shadows are highlighted. To change, if we look at our view, the sun is quite low to get this sort of dramatic shadow effect. So to change the sun settings, if you click on render settings and then setting sun settings and make sure it's on lighting, this enables you to change the azimuth and altitude of the sun settings within that view. So only specific to this one view. So you can apply it if the building's orientated in the correct direction, you can and allocate it in the right location. You can specify a specific time and day within the world. But what we're doing is just applying a light setting to a specific view. So you can, if you click on top left or top right and then click apply, it changes the line settings. I've also included a preset, so if you want to create your own, change the azimuth and altitude, you can at the bottom here duplicate, and we can call it low sun, and if we type in azimuth 20 degrees and the altitude and the azimuth, you can change the light settings. So we're just going to click create or select low sun settings and click OK, and now we're just ready to render a draft view, so we click OK. So first of all, rename the views. So if you right click and select rename, you can rename these views from 3D view to whatever you like, and this is most useful when creating a series of views, so you can easily allocate them. So when we come up to rendering, the first box is which view you're going to render. So we're going to select internal living. We're going to render with V-Ray. We're going to change the quality to draft because we just want to see what it looks like, and then we're going to select resolution. So we're just going to select 600 by 1200, or if you want to select the view, so what we've the view that we're rendering, and I'm just using a preset for a quick demonstration. We're just using dome lighting for the time being, and we leave the exposure value to 12. So now we're ready to render. If we click render, and the window should come up, it will show render, and it should take a little few minutes to render. So after a while, you should get an output like this. Now if we go back to the image I showed you, you can see that the lighting is much more dramatic. Because we use dome lighting, dome lighting, it doesn't take into account the render settings. So for it to take into account the render settings, we have to use V-Ray sun settings, and we change the sun size to 1, and I'll explain that in just one moment. So again, let's just do a draft view and re-render it, and you can see the effect of changing the sun settings. So after a short period of time, you can see how the render settings have the sun settings dramatically changed it. Now the lighting and the shadow is dictated to by the size of the sun. So if we go back to that view, you can see the shadows are a lot softer and give it a more dramatic feel. And well, I say the sharper shadows would give a more dramatic feel, but to give the softer effect, we have to what's called enlarge the sun size. So if we change that to 6, and change that to 6, and then we click re-render, we can see the effect of changing the size of the sun. So once the render is complete, you can see that the sharp of the shadows have now dramatically changed to a softer effect. Next thing we're going to look at is the material. So if we just go back to Revit, and in particular the material of the floor. If we select the floor and then we go to edit type, edit structure, and then we got large, and then we click the top tile, and the tile effect is dictated to by, if you go click on appearance, we've got a Revit material applied to it to give that effect. Now if I click OK, what we're going to use is we're going to override them with V-Ray materials. So I'll just close those boxes down. Now the V-Ray materials are located in the V-Ray tabs, and if we click Project Browser, Material Browser, and we will select Materials. These are all the materials within our current Revit library but are duplicated into the V-Ray library. Now to override them, at the moment AutoGen simulates that they will be dictated to by Revit, and the materials applied in Revit. To override them, if you select one of them, it gives you the option to select V-Ray material, diffuse texture, or a colour. So if we're looking at the floor, if I type in MB, it shortens all the materials, and MB large tiles is the ones that's generated, is the one that dictates the floors. So if we go back to our Revit, our final image, the floor is a V-Ray floor. So if we click on, rather than auto generate, we click on V-Ray material, and if we click on the little tab here, it will transport us to the V-Ray material library. So under materials, there's a subcategory for all the different types of materials, and what we're going to choose is stone. So if we double click stone and we click on stone A, so these are preset V-Ray materials, click OK, and just to check the size, it should be, the sample size should be 1200 by the height 1200. Now if we click V-Ray now, the material should change. So pause. So once your render is complete, you should end up with an end product similar to this. You can also use override materials to experiment and create design options. So what we're going to look at is that end black wall panel. So again, if we go back to the materials library, and it should be called black wall, you can just change the colour. So if we just click on colour and we select the little tab there, these are all preset colours, but if you click on the bottom one, you can scoot around to get the colour wheel. So I will make it, just for show, a nice pink, and if you click standard, oops, there we go, and this time if I render it, it should override that black wall with a lovely pink wall. As you can see, it's rendered it with a lovely pink wall. Alternatively, if you want to go back to the default, click Auto Gen, or if we want to play V-Ray material, click on little tabs, click on the materials, and we can change that to brickwork. And these are all presets. So if we want to go to weather effect, click open, and we re-render it, we should get a brickwork panel wall. Okay, once the render is complete, you should have something similar to this. So that's a way to explore various design options or materials using V-Ray materials. Once you're happy with your design options, best thing to do is, well, prior to exporting it, is to increase the quality, increase the resolution, and once you've re-rendered it, which might take a considerable amount of time, you click Save Current Channel and you can save it as a JPEG. So that concludes this internal view.